Welcome to Real Flix Reviews. You're like a book club for people who hate reading. It's Stanley Kubrick month for Real Flix Reviews, and we're doing the movie Killing, made in 1956. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens,
Hello.
And the man who makes cadavers shudder, Ryan Preston. This week we're doing the movie Killing, and
The Killing.
Do any of you guys have the description for IMDb?
I can have it up in just a second. So anyway,
everybody, we're
it's The Killing, 1956. Crooks plan and execute a daring racetrack robbery.
8 words.
8 words, and that nails it, I guess.
So who wants to start? I'll go if you guys don't want to.
I was gonna let Brian go.
Hey, I'll start off.
Okay.
You know what? I saw this movie literally almost right before we started recording this, so it's really fresh in my head. If I could sum it up, sort of IMDb status, it seemed like Ocean's 11 before Ocean's 11, but a dark version of Ocean's 11. And by dark, I mean Stanley Kubrick, because you could definitely see his sort of sensibility come through, even that early. I mean, how was this his first film?
No.
I think I'd have to look it up, and I don't have it up.
Yeah, I picked this one because this is one of the ones that Tarantino said inspired Reservoir Dogs.
I was gonna say, I mean, everything. Well, I could see exactly how, especially right at the end. But it reminded me more sort of like Ocean's 11 with the Rat Pack one.
The 1960 version.
Yeah.
66, 67, something like that. But
1960.
Sort of this great heist pulled off perfectly, and then everything just sort of goes to shit. But the way everything goes to shit in a Stanley Kubrick movie is much different than it goes to shit in everything else. As far as everybody getting killed or Tarantino'd, as I sort of started calling it.
I like that. I'm going to start using that, actually.
Everything got Tarantino'd at the end, But I guess Kubrick or Tarantino would probably say everything got Kubricked at the end, based on this kind of thing. But I loved.
I think they call it Clockwork
type of stuff, and I've never seen other than Strangelove, but that was done at a time when he didn't need to do it like that. Anyway, this one I loved the narration. It kind of reminded me of Adam West Batman voiceover kind of thing. Meanwhile, in another part of town. The archetypes of the characters were amazingly fascinating. Like it had just very broad stroke type of characters, which made the story kind of play a lot faster than you normally see these types of movies.
I actually have that written down in my notes because I thought the same thing. Yeah,
most of these things drag because of over explanation or these. Like the emotional moments that they tried to put in a lot of, like 40s and 50s movies. But this one seemed to play a lot quicker than most of those that I've ever seen. Specifically because, like I said, the characters, and then right at the end, it just like, it was like a 20-minute, 25-minute sequence of sort of everybody's sort of day going through, like leading up to the 7th race.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to have been close to a half an hour of that sequence of them just sort of, here's every angle of the thing, which you don't see. I mean, that attention to the cinematography, you don't really see in those kinds of movies. Most of it is all story, which there was too. So, I don't know. I was overall pretty effing impressed with just, again, I mean, it was a dark kind of a movie. Everything sort of started to turn bad, and then everything got messed up. One thing I noticed was when everybody, obviously fucking gets shot at the end, the pellets you can see like in everybody, like with the, was it George?
Yeah, George Petty.
The detail of putting the little pellets like in his cheeks and stuff was like a much more twisted than I'm used to seeing in noir film. I don't know, it was those kinds of things that, like I said, I mean, you could see Kubrick's sort of sixth sensibility come through even that early,
Yeah. So my turn.
That was pretty much my general thought.
Okay, my turn, I guess. The one thing that I always say about color But the one thing that's always amazed me is the lighting in black and white. Because if you think about it, lighting in black and white movies is a character. It's a total character.
Absolutely. And as much as the color palette is a character in the other ones, I was just waiting for you to bring up some version of a color palette.
Hey, that's generally
managed to do it without fail. That's amazing.
Yeah. But no, I think it's more than a character than it in a color movie, because they only have one palette of color. It's like white to black.
Right. It's limited storytelling
with gray in between.
Right. Anytime you limit the story, the way a story can be told, you always get those kinds of artistic choices. You have to build on what you have. So like you said, I mean, lighting is definitely a character. And
this particular any black and white movie, it always amazes me. Like Ryan said, I can definitely see the influences on Tarantino. I was wondering, do you think any of the camera angles inspired him at all?
I think you might be onto something there, just because, like I was saying, like it showed every angle, everybody's sort of perspective on specifically like the seventh race kind of time.
Yeah.
I think that definitely was a huge part of it.
And the last, I actually wrote down what I thought each character type was. Johnny Gray was the hood leader guy.
Yeah.
The George Petty, the racetrack cashier, was kind of the Weasley wimp character.
Yeah, sort of beaten down by life, kind of nothing really goes his way, but he's got his trophy wife and he's always trying to make her happy.
Yeah. And Val Cannon was the boyfriend of the cashier's wife, was kind of the lover boy, kind of wannabe tough guy.
Son of a bitch, yeah.
Yeah. And the wife, Sherry Petty, was kind of the gold digger.
Wife.
The gold digger.
Oh man, that bitch. I got off that whole movie. I mean, from the first thing she said, it was like, "Oh, you bitch, you're not into this guy." Like, wow, I just felt sorry for George. That's all.
Yeah, and Maurice, the Maurice guy, the big guy, was the enforcer, paid thug. He was the chess player.
Yeah,
yeah.
Who apparently in real life was the only chess playing professional wrestler. That was his that was him in real life. Yeah,
yeah.
I actually had to look that up, but yeah. The Mike O'Reilly, awesome. The bartender, is kind of the bad luck character, made some poor choices.
Right, yeah.
And the policeman was the stupid guy that made really stupid choices.
Yeah.
The horse.
Which one was the sick wife? That was the...
That was Mike O'Reilly's.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Mike O'Reilly.
And Nicky Arcane, the horse sniper, was the stupid gunner, the thug gunner.
I don't know about stupid. He kind of looked a little more psychotic.
Yeah, I'd go with the psychotic.
Okay, yeah, I'll agree with that. He was,
but he was kind of stupid.
Psychotic, too. But he sort of had a heart when he was talking to the black guy. Yeah. I mean, but the reason he shouted
shoot him away.
I think was because he was the only way to get him out of there quick.
Yeah.
And
Marvin Unger, the financier, was the small crook / number runner guy.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that they really stayed. It was a very one-dimensional storytelling. The characters generally didn't move out of their archetypes, as Ryan said.
Yeah.
But I actually think having all these different characters actually drove the story. But I think this is more of a story-driven movie than it is a character-driven movie.
Well, it's character-driven in as much as like you said, like the archetypes sort of feed the story, like Magnificent Seven or Ocean's 11, those kinds of things. You have like the ensemble kind of like each character has their different sort of specialty or like type, if you will.
And the other one was my complaint. How did the gunner's view go from far away to right next to the racetrack?
I was kind of wondering the same thing.
Because the first view of him driving up, they were far away from the track. The next thing you know, he was like right next to the fence.
Sort of. I think it was sort of a cinematography, perspective kind of thing. Like sort of it's double focus, like focus on him and then focus on the racetrack, and
And then at one point, I mean, it's like
he could see the horse.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit weird on that one, but.
I mean, he couldn't have been that far. He was using iron sights.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one is the ending totally has a Twilight Zone Outer Limits feel to me. Because
I could see that.
Kind of ironic. They did all this.
Totally.
Yeah, I kind of got
the glass is breaking and he's in the library. Now I had time kind of ending. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, James?
Well, you know, the story is one that's been told multiple times.
Oh,
to be honest. I mean, and like you said, it's a one-dimensional story, and it's being driven. The movie is story-driven, not character-driven. Well, a story like that is pretty much that is what they're focused on. They're focused on the heist and how they're actually going to do it, and that's the story that's been told, as Brian was mentioning, by Ocean's 11 really well. The other one that it kind of reminded me of was the Italian Job as well.
Sure.
Which one? The original?
Both of them.
Nah. But I thought the way he did it for 1956 was very well done. I thought for the period piece of the way that they had the sex scenes was pretty funny. I mean, they like all of a sudden hug each other and then it goes black.
Right, but I mean, he's still
during the hugging
chances on, you know, like the N-word to the guy, you know what I'm saying? Like just killing everybody at the end.
Yeah, so I mean, there was definitely some really good, you know, things that you kind of expect from Kubrick, knowing his later movies.
Yeah,
and excuse me, I gotta say, you know, the actors of George, is it George?
George?
Sherry.
Yeah,
married to Sherry. Yeah.
Yeah.
George and Sherry. That banter back and forth, telling the descent in the marriage, I thought was really well done.
I'll agree.
I mean,
I thought it was too.
She, like you said, she is a woman that you were like cheering to die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
you know, you want to see her dead.
That's why I love the ending on that. Now that you bring it, is when she died at the end. And you just saw the smirk on George's face, you know, like, you damn bitch.
He finally realized, like, you are the source of all my trouble.
Yeah. And the fact that she...
And you almost got me killed.
Yeah. I love that her comment, though, was, why?
But, right. I mean...
Like, seriously?
The way they did the relationship between them was really well done. Because, I mean, they initially started out where he's still trying to keep it together the first time you get introduced to her. And all the smart mouth things that she was throwing at him.
Oh, yeah.
Just
with just the general attitude, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, everything he said was wrong.
Yeah, it opened up with her totally not looking at him, not paying attention. He had to walk up and say, "Hi, honey," type of thing. And
yeah.
Well, and then when he realizes, like after she hears about the money, she's pouring him his coffee and stuff like that. And he's like, "Are you sure you're feeling all right?" "Oh, I'm sorry," but he's like, "Oh, I don't even want to question a good thing because this is what I've always wanted from my, you know, like really hot wife that I shouldn't be." You know, that he shouldn't have, essentially.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really well done. Now, all the other characters, I don't have it up with me, but the lead guy, what was his name?
It was Johnny Gray.
I thought his role was done very, very well as a leader, as a guy who's trying to keep everybody on schedule. And I liked the fact that he was on time with everything up until the end, and he was running, you know, what they say, 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
I actually think he was the best character.
Consistently running 15 minutes late because he couldn't do anything about, you know, being already late.
Traffic.
And I just thought the way that he pulled that off was really well done. And I was a little bit bothered by him leaving money out of the suitcase.
Okay, so I'm not the only one who was like,
you know,
that was
it wouldn't fit in there, but you know,
out loud, like, well, that's one way to do it, I guess. Like, just really, that's what you're gonna do, just.
Yeah. And there was money all scattered all over the ground, and he's shoving it all in there. I'm like, okay.
The whole time during that scene, I was thinking, you know, when he went to the airport, it's like, take a bus, take a airport.
But, you know, and it was pretty much one of those things that, you know, you saw that coming. The dog running out there.
Yeah, hardcore.
And, you know, the other thing is, I like the fact that Kubrick took stayed true to his form in being a stickler for detail and the amount of noise that he put out for the airport, the engines going, everything was really well done for that time period. So that type of stuff I thought was really well done. There was a couple things with the lighting, Mr. Lighting over here.
Hey, I found it interesting.
That there's a scene in there where I think George and Sherry are doing their little banter thing back and forth, and there's this thing back on the wall for some reason from the lighting, and there's no placement for it. So I was a little bit kind of bothered by that. There was just out of place lighting in one scene where he's talking to her on a bed.
See, I totally didn't notice that.
Now, I noticed it, and I was trying to figure out where it was coming from. There was no windows. It's just strange. But that was like the only thing as far as the cinematography that I thought was a little bit off. I want to find a damn room like that for $10 a week.
Yeah.
Well, go back to 1956. And I'm sure you'll be able to find one just quick.
It might not be, wheelchair
I thought
accessible.
that was pretty cool. The fact that, he just showed up there and they had...
And they didn't question it either. That was the part
that
was
amazed
because
me. He already knew the friend from jail.
He knew the guy, and
True.
He knew the guy that knew the guy that knew the guy that hooked him up with the guy.
One thing I wanted to also bring up was we were saying the relationship between George and Sherry. I think that was a lot more focused on than everybody else's relationship, specifically because the between Sherry and what was the Val?
The guy.
Val Cannon.
He, with that whole thing going on, the reason everything went to hell
was that
because of George's, sort of jealous rage when he realizes, oh, that's the guy who's been, banging my wife.
It wasn't the jealous rage.
It
wasn't the jealous rage. It was the greed of his wife.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
because she wanted him out of the picture.
Also, like, oh, here's the guy. It's like my wife's greed sort of personified, and here he is, and he just walks out of the room, blasting.
Oh yeah.
And everything goes wrong from there.
Well, I don't think everything went wrong from there. It was already going to go wrong.
Yes,
no, everything was pretty much wrong from there.
As soon as she got involved and he said something, I think it went down from there. Because
that was sort of like just tipping the ball, that was the first snowball off the top of the mountain. It just started building.
So, question: who was the main character? Because now that I think about it, I'm more thinking that the Weasley guy, George Petty, was almost the main character.
I disagree with you. I don't think he was the main character. I think he was the main motivator.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll agree with that.
Supporting actor.
Yeah, supporting actor.
The other guy was, more sort of like moving the plot, but he was sort of like the underlying, like building towards the climax.
Okay. No, I understand what you're saying.
He's the one that moves the story.
Yeah. Are you still there, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you, just for the audience, because I don't think they can hear it as well as we managed to, can you repeat what you were saying, that he was like kind of a supporting actor of motivating the story, and Jay was?
Right. Well, what was the leader guy's name?
It was Johnny Gray.
Yeah.
Johnny was the one sort of, like he was the main character, in as much as he was the main character, but just sort of like this underlying thing going on. The B story ends up being sort of the catalyst for the conflict at the end,
Yeah. And, that's very similar to how it was done in Reservoir Dogs. Because, the main point of the movie was the heist.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
But then you have the the underlying story of, why am I drawing a blank on the guy's name? Orange. Mr. Orange is...
Tim Roth.
Thank you.
So Tim Roth is George Petty in this movie.
Right.
That makes perfect sense. I got you.
So that's kind of where he's got the main plot of the heist, but an underlying story that's going to be a catalyst in bringing everything to a climax in a shootout, death by everybody.
And you know what I was actually just thinking about? This movie coming out in 1956, it's sort of billed as this is a heist movie. So everybody likes a good heist movie. All kinds of people are going to be going out with their wives, getting dolled up to go to the movies that night. And then what the movie does is suck you in with this amazing sort of heist thing and this procedural kind of every angle of the heist, and you're really kind of rooting for everything, but you're sort of paying attention to the understory, but not really. But then all of a sudden, that scene, in the hotel when they're waiting for Johnny to show up, everything just completely turns. I would have loved to have been in that theater watching sort of the general public, their reaction to that kind of thing.
It was funny. I was talking about that. I was reading reviews about what 1956. I was trying to come up with a few characters' information, and they actually said that apparently got pretty good reviews. You know, like it's a romp. You know, it actually got favorable reviews in 1956, which surprised me a little bit because this movie
it doesn't surprise me that much. I mean, because as soon as that scene happens, everybody's just like, "Holy shit!" Your heart's kind of racing. Like this is not with the heist movie that I was expecting here, you know?
Well, it surprised me because this movie has more of a modern feel than even movies a decade later do.
Right, well, because of the little details, you know, with
exactly.
the pellets in his cheek. That scene when he comes in and he's standing next to the talking, annoying-ass parrot, you know, like that whole thing, I mean, that's more sort of kind of gritty than I think people were used to in the 50s.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially, like I said, for the general public who was probably coming out just to see a heist movie. There's those weird fringe movies that were sort of like that, but not as this mainstream kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, all in all, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I still think, like, if I compare it to the original Ocean's 11 and the original Italian Job, I prefer those over this one. But for a movie of
Ocean's 11 and Italian Job were a lot more, you know, lighthearted and kind of, you know,
I'd say they're a little bit more, and I don't like to use the term because, of course, the Rat Pack is in there. But I think those two were a little bit more smooth, you know?
Rat Pack, you know, was the Rat Pack, but they were a little more satirical in as much as it was kind of about the comedy, kind of about the actors, you know, a lot about the heist, but it was a lot more light.
Yeah.
So what is your score on this?
This one I would go with a 3. If I was going to recommend a movie, it wouldn't be for a heist movie. This wouldn't be my first one, but it would be in there now because I haven't seen this one before.
Yeah,
I knew it existed. I hadn't seen it. So, but all in all, I did like it. I enjoyed a lot of it. But the thing is that it's almost like a time period movie because they moved out of this type of noir-esque and slower-paced things because there was a lot of slow-paced dialogue.
Yeah.
In this one, and if you're not expecting that, I don't think you would enjoy this movie.
See,
to be honest,
the thing I liked about
you'd find it slow.
The thing I liked about the slow pace, though, it didn't stand out. Nowadays, slower pace scenes really stand out from the movie. This one really seems it flows with it very well. It's not all of a sudden you're not in this action scene, then boom, you're slowed down like some of the movies nowadays.
No, I agree with you on that, but I think all in all, you get kind of a slow feeling of the movie. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people who are used to the movies that are out nowadays are going to enjoy.
I agree.
So if you're not used to movies that are like that, like you haven't seen very many black and whites, you haven't seen any that are kind of more of the drama-esque,
the slower burn
of those other ones, you won't find this movie enjoyable. Like my wife, Jen, she wasn't expecting that, and she didn't enjoy it as much as she would have, I'm sure, if she was expecting it. So,
what's your score, Ryan?
I'm gonna give it a 3, but sort of contingent. Like, I thought the movie was fantastic. I sort of agree with what we were talking about pacing, but I thought it flowed a lot quicker than I'm used to seeing. You know, like noir films.
Oh yeah.
You know, James and John, you the three of us have seen enough black and white movies to sort of know what we're getting ourselves into.
Casablanca.
Which is why I sort of go for a 3, just because there's not a lot of people that I could recommend this to, but the people that I would, it's based on a lot of like oh man, this is where this came from, and this is where this came from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And oh, if you're into this, then oh, you're gonna love, you know, this because that's an influence kind of thing. And but like you said, it's a type of person who's into that kind of thing. But overall, it's one of the better sort of, you know, quick 86 minutes. You know, like that's under an hour and a half, and everything
it's all summed up.
You know, after they sort of got the plan of the heist going and you got to know the characters, everything just moved, especially, you know, the whole seventh race thing. So the story was good, and it's been told a million times, but I love it.
Well, the thing is,
it's been told a million times because everybody else loves it.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to bring that up as well. I mean, for the movie out there at this time, it was pretty much like groundbreaking in the way that it portrayed the heist.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it was
much
something
darker, and like I said, you probably got yourself a big mainstream audience, and then gave them something that they didn't expect, and that's something that you don't see too often anymore.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I love this movie. I love black and white movies. I'm giving this a 4 out of 5 just because I really loved this movie.
Fair enough.
And one of the reasons I picked it is because it was an influence on Reservoir Dogs, and I love Reservoir Dogs, so it was something I wanted to see.
Right.
So I love this movie.
I would recommend it to anybody who's seen Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Go watch this movie.
Yeah, but the thing... Okay, hold on. Now, I have a question for both of you.
Okay.
Both of us... all of us agree that George is the Buscemi character. Mr. Pink.
Yeah.
That would be the character that, seems like he's kind of squirrely type thing.
Yeah, yeah, sort of.
But... you said, what's the guy's name, the leader guy's name?
Johnny Gray.
Johnny Gray is the one that makes it out alive. Now, Buscemi died.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sort of makes it out alive. I mean, he got arrested. Everybody's screwed.
So, would he be that character at the end?
I don't think
Buscemi, because Buscemi goes out, you hear sirens, get on the ground, then gunfire. So, I've always assumed that Buscemi characters... Mr. Pink died. I always assumed
died.
In a blaze of glory type thing.
Right.
So, what do you guys think? I mean, is it just that Quentin Tarantino was influenced by that and kind of said, let's make a kind of a getaway away from the cops type thing? Because that was the end scene. And
I think...
I kind of was a little bit confused on that one.
I think he was influenced by the cinematography style and the shock of, like, I'm just going to fucking kill everybody sort of at once. And it's... when you just got to know all these characters and sort of, their archetypes and all of a sudden that happens, you're just like, well, what do I do now? Like, I'm left with this kind of like shit feeling, like what the hell just happened?
I think
Tarantino sort of adopted, I think, that kind of thing. I don't think he was trying to draw that many parallels with it.
Well, I'll agree with what Ryan said, and I think it was the basic story. I mean, the basic idea, the basic archetypes and the character types. And I don't maybe think it is like a one-for-one copy.
Well, see, I was just trying to see what the influence there was. And I was thinking, like, maybe that was something that he thought was a great ending, but he put his own twist on it.
I think it's exactly what he did. And especially because Tarantino wasn't necessarily about the heist. It was about the aftermath of the heist.
Yeah, and it was about the characters.
It was about
the characters kind of going at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and now is the movie news. And since we're running up at the end of the program, I've got one. Do any of you guys remember Deus Ex, the video game, the Human Revolution?
No.
That one, do you remember? Have you heard of Deus Ex at all? It's kind of the cyberpunk video game.
I might have come across it somewhere, but I don't know anything about it.
Well, the Human Revolution, to give a really quick synopsis of the game, is basically you're a person who gets injured and their body parts end up getting replaced. Like you have robotic arms, and the robotic arms have swords at the elbows, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Nanites and things like that.
And so they're coming out with a movie, allegedly, and it's basically the way the article read is they're making a video game movie, but not a video game movie. It's going to be its own story, but they're not going to make it video game-esque. You know how they normally make video games movies.
Okay, I gotcha.
They're calling this a cyberpunk movie, not a video game movie.
That'd be interesting.
So what do you... my question is, how would you attempt to make a video game movie and not have it suck?
Oh, shit.
Wait.
You're already trying to jump over 1.5 million hurdles just because you have people who are, hardcore fans of whatever game it is, and those are the kind of people that you're marketing the movie towards. So you have to satisfy them with all kinds of weird little nuanced things. But I don't know, you strip the entire story and start from new, or...
But video games already, for example, if on Deus Ex, there's enough backstory with 4 or 5 different games that you could stay in the same universe but not use the same characters. There's enough canon where you could do what you want.
That's what I was going to say.
That's what you'd have to do, but you'd have to jump right into the middle of it without over-explaining the shit out of everything, but at the same time, you're trying to bring in new audiences as opposed to just the people who played the video game. So there's going to be a ton of over-explanation, and, oh, this is who this person is, and this is why she hates him, and this is what these little things are, and, shit like that, so...
Okay, you remember that short story that when we did the shorts?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there was the guy that had the virus or, that thing in him.
Right.
And he got to choose, basically transport myself in another body, and they're talking about that type of thing.
Right.
That's kind of what I'd say that they need to do. Something similar to that, but expand the story. Dump any type of idea of taking, like you said, like the character from the video game. Use the back layout of the world or the universe or whatever you want to call it, and build some sort of story out of that. Like maybe instead of doing it like in Deus Ex of the Human Revolution, where you're I'm trying to remember the name of the character.
I don't remember.
Anyway, where you're that type of guy, totally hardcore experienced. Maybe do something along the lines of, you're a cop investigating something, or you got something backstory-esque of the universe or the world.
The interesting thing, there actually was a novel that came out before the game, or right in the game, around the same time, and it doesn't talk about, if I remember correctly, anything about the main character in the game. It has two separate characters, but it explains the backstory more of the world. It explains the universe more.
So do you think they're just gonna start, like they're gonna do this movie sort of as the start of a universe, like they're gonna create like a bunch of these things as a, like Star Wars did, you know what I'm saying? That the first one came out and there was characters in it that had one line that have amazing backstories. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Video game movies have a horrible reputation, especially ones made by Uwe Far Cry, Wing Commander.
Well, so those movies were crazy low budget, but I mean, if like you said, if they have sort of this canon to be able to dig from, then they have the ability to do something really good as far as start. Kind of just throw people right into the middle of the universe, and then don't explain too much. Maybe explain a bunch of things in the second one, or something like that. But
what I would do personally is, I don't think you have to explain anything, because I think the universe itself is self-explanatory. Like you could have a character who gets hurt, and then you replace certain body parts with mechanical parts or nanite parts. I think with this universe specifically, you can just throw it at everybody and let everybody come up with their own ideas, and maybe a little bit of glimpses here, a little bit here, but not the dead, this is what happens. Because I think you could do it right and play service to the fans, but without giving, the people who have never seen the universe, what is this?
Yeah. Huh.
Because I think you could go into it saying it's cyberpunk, explain cyberpunk, and then boom, you already have it,
Gotcha.
So, James, what's your movie pick? Because you said you had a couple of movies for us to choose from.
No, I got a couple of movies, and I want to kind of discuss the reason why I'm thinking of these three. And I don't need my phone up anymore. Now, this one I think is a really great Kubrick, like I said, but I don't think it's one of his greater ones. Okay. Now, I already know what Ryan's going to pick, so that one's off the table. Now, I got three. The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, or Clockwork.
So you want us to vote on which one?
Now, I've seen all three of these, and I love all three of these. I think all three of these are unique in their own way. Each one tells a different aspect of politics in one. Another one you have, just human condition. And then the other one you have a cultural condition. So I want to know, which one do you guys want to go with? Because there's one that there's two that I'm really, really wanting to pick. And since we're only doing one at a time for us,
I'm more towards Full Metal, but that's just me.
Now
I'll watch all three of those movies at any time.
Yeah, I don't want to do it at once though.
Well, the thing is I'm thinking, if we really want to get the audience into what Kubrick can do, I don't think that would be Full Metal.
Well, I don't disagree.
So.
Well,
and I think Full Metal.
John already picked his. We already know what mine's going to be. I mean, at this point,
I got these three. I mean,
you almost have to do Clockwork.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I almost no. Now you haven't seen Clockwork.
I've seen enough of it.
Wait, hold on.
And okay, let me put it this way. No,
I've seen a part. I've seen enough of it to know it.
What the fuck are we even discussing this for? Okay, John, you've seen Full Metal Jacket.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen The Shining.
Most of it.
What do you mean most of it?
Most of it.
All right. Did you read the book or anything? I mean, you're familiar with the story, though.
Oh no, I know the story. That's not
okay.
a
Well,
problem.
then we have to do Clockwork. I mean, look, if you don't do it, then I'm gonna have to change mine.
Well, I don't want you to change yours.
So looks like it's Clockwork Orange.
Okay. Yeah, Clockwork Orange. I mean, because yeah.
Like you said, dude. I mean, you're not showing everything that you can. I mean, everything that. I mean, Clockwork is like his thesis film. One of us has to do it.
No, I don't disagree. It's one of, I think it's one of the movies he's most famous for.
And I want to bring up something out there, audience guys. Kubrick is one of the most underprivileged. I mean, like nobody gives him the credit that he's due. Literally. So the movies that we've named that we're not picking, put them on your must-see list at the top.
Well,
serious.
at this point,
trying to choose what Stanley Kubrick movie to pick, like I have to pick one, is freaking terrible.
Well, at this point, haven't most people seen Full Metal Jacket? I mean,
No.
at least the beginning part of it.
You got to think about this.
There's a lot of people who haven't.
Really?
We're kind of talking with a generation that didn't get to see some of these. I mean, not everybody out there knows about Full Metal Jacket. Not everybody out there knows about, The Shining.
So, okay.
Movies hold up, man.
I have one more question then.
And when we're talking to Clockwork out there, I mean, most of the people who have actually seen this movie, our generation didn't see this movie as much as you think.
Oh, yeah. It's not a well-liked movie, in my opinion.
It's an older generation out there that has already seen it.
So what about 2001?
Another honorable mention, but that one talking about a slow burn.
Well, no, I agree. I've never actually sat through the entire film, but this film at the time was revolutionary.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that he does is freaking revolutionary, but nobody, except for like his cult following, seems to give a fuck, and it's annoying.
Yeah. So okay, Clockwork.
Yeah.
No, this one. I mean, I was expecting Ryan to watch it, and then I realized that we hadn't talked about the one that Ryan has picked, and so it had to be. You gotta go with that one.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we're doing Clockwork Orange for next Monday's show, and I gave the Killing a 4, James gave it a 3, and Ryan gave it a 3, and we'll see you next week.
They will support you. They will do referrals between clients. You can't ask for a more complete marketing package.
We love the windfall!
And you can too. Think advertising with the Windfall couldn't get any better? Well, it just did. For only $125 for a 30-second commercial filmed by Old Guy Tech TV, you can be seen and heard.